April 17, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the Thinkorswim platform. Just go down to the descriptions below and you see where I think I saw trade setups as well as where I actually took my trades. So this is pretty much what the market looked like today. It was pretty choppy and all the trading was contained within about 32 points from 41.48 to about 41.80. So about 32 points. This is how I drew up the charts today. I took a total of 9 trades. Definitely the last 3 trades I should have just left alone and avoided because the last 3 trades were 3 losing trades. So I took 9 trades today, as I said, and I won 5 and I lost 4. And if I just skipped the last 3 trades, excuse me, last 4 trades, I probably would have been okay. Probably the last 3 trades. So I'm going to actually make these disappear. There wasn't that much economic data that came out today. It was just the Empire State Manufacturing Index, which came out at 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is right around here. I didn't find this until later, but it didn't really help too much except tell me exactly what, everybody already knew, that there was kind of a bearish downtrend, a very slow sell-off happening. This is the pre-market highs and lows. Comes into play kind of right around here, but doesn't really affect prices too much as well. Maybe there was a little bit of reaction up here. And then I did see several trading ranges and areas of consolidation. And then trend channel going up. So it looked like it was a really slow sell-off. Then I'm not really sure what happened at around 11 a.m. Pacific Standard or 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, but prices just suddenly shot up and started just buyers just came in and just bought up everything, which is kind of crazy. So let's go ahead and look at this trades. I'm gonna try to go through this quickly so the video is not too long. In the pre-market, I drew these measured legs for myself just to see if prices would eventually get back down there. But this is the pre-market. There wasn't much price action. Today was kind of a slower day, even though it was choppy, just because there wasn't much volume. So I don't trade the pre-market, which is this gray area, and it is where the market opened. I don't see any setups that I like, and prices just, excuse me, prices just continue to move. Now I saw this after the fact as a possible second entry short. So this is actually technically the lowest low, but you can group all this together because this is kind of creating and testing a localized low. So depending on how you counted, also this trading range doesn't exist yet because I didn't find it at this point. But you can say this is potentially a new low right here. And you can see a visual first entry short, also literal count first entry short, second entry short. Now this is a pretty good signal bar, but this is actually your signal bar. This is a pretty good trigger bar. But if I wanted to take a trade, I was thinking about it after I saw this. So this happened, but I didn't see it in real time. I didn't like that there wasn't much room down to the EMA. So I thought if I was going to take a trade, I'd like to look for a confirmation lower high. You get a lower high right here. So it's actually this one's an actual possible trade. Again, I didn't see this in time, or I didn't see this in real time. And it was kind of in yellow because I saw it after the fact. This is closing below the EMA. It's a pretty strong signal bar. You can see like half the body is this gigantic wick. So when it opened here, prices oscillated for sure. And then the sellers came in and they pushed it all the way down to the low and it closed at the low. So this is probably a decent setup because there's also enough room because you're past the EMA now and you don't really know that you're in a trading range necessarily, but you know there's enough room back down to the bottom here. So this is a possible trade. I didn't take it because I just didn't see it. Prices continue moving down, almost touches low, bounces back up. This is where I take my first trade. I see a new low here, first entry short, second entry short. And I thought it was a second entry short failure because this candle, this green one, makes the second entry short, but it closes pretty badly and it's coming back up. So it's coming back up, but it didn't really fail yet. So it didn't really go above this guy to cause it to fail. But I thought I saw it and I said, okay, it made 2 clean legs up, 1 leg up, pulls back, second leg up. And I thought now it's possibly in a trading range because I drew this. It's actually this top of the range is slightly lower. And this was pretty much where it was here. I might have had a slightly lower above, but I probably played with it. What happened was it was going up and then there was this flash sell-off that crashed, took me out, and I also got some slippage because this happened very quickly. And I was in this trade and I looked back at hindsight and I thought, oh, well, this really wasn't the best failed second entry short. It did form above the EMA, but even though because right here, it's still a second entry short. It hasn't really failed yet. It hadn't break above this guy yet. And so when the next candle forms, it still didn't break above this guy. It broke above this guy, so and it's closing above the EMA. But here, if I truly believe that the EMA is in play, then this really isn't a valid or important trading range. So it was kind of conflicting thoughts, and I thought about it afterwards. I really probably shouldn't have taken that trade. Prices continue moving down. I see a second entry short up here because there's a new low here. First entry short pushes up, second entry short. I saw this and I thought, this kind of looks like this at the time. And I thought this is a really, really nice signal bar. However, it's inside this large bullish bar. So there's a lot of power pushing this up. Buyers are buying up because these are really big green candles, 3 in a row. And there was this really, really strong push down. So I saw it and I thought it's better to wait for a lower high confirmation to verify that it's actually coming back down. It is confirming the trading range. Then I see my lower high. Lower high looks pretty good, but I wished that it actually broke one tick below. And unfortunately it didn't. So I was thinking when this formed, it was about to close, I was thinking maybe I should put my order one tick below here. But at the time I wasn't sure because it didn't tick below in the life of this candle. So hoping that I'll do it at the last moment, I thought might have been a trap. So I just kind of left it alone. And then it goes down because right here I also thought it might potentially be a failed second entry short because this came down. This one caused the second entry short to fail for sure, but it was also a lower high. So that gave me conflicting thoughts. And I placed it one tick below here. I don't know if that would have been a confident trade for me because I wasn't sure if it was all still going to go back up. But it turns out it would have worked out pretty well. Prices continue moving down. And now I see, excuse me, I see this setup. I see a new high, first entry long, second entry long. It hasn't made a second entry long yet, but I'm getting ready. But I also noticed that it made potentially a triple test. And so I decided I like this because I like that this signal bar is looking pretty strong. I went ahead and put my trade, I think one tick slightly back right here just to give myself a little more room. And it's also bouncing off. Excuse me. I'm seeing it likely bounce off the real-time excuse me, the regular trading hour open, which is down here. This is the open of the regular trading hours, and I'm seeing it bounce off. So I'm thinking there's enough room to move up. I went ahead and placed my order. I was able to get filled. And I have my runner down here, or not runner. Excuse me. I don't think I got filled. I take that back. Let's see. Okay, I got filled, but I didn't get my exit yet. My stop was one tick below, and I had to sweat out these two bars. It came really close to taking me out, but it didn't. Finally, it moved up. There's where I got my core profit, and then my runner got stopped out. So that was my second trade of the day. It's a green one. I saw this measured move and a potentially second measured move, and I saw this as a new low, first entry short right here, second entry short. The second entry short looks pretty good. It's right off the top of this trading range, which I thought is valid at this point. So I'm thinking I'm not too worried about having prices come back to the EMA, but it might come all the way back down to the bottom. Excuse me. It's a decent signal bar because this is the signal bar. It's kind of bullish, but it closed low. So when this came down and made a second entry short, I thought, also bounced off the top of this trading range. So I thought, okay, it looks potentially decent as a trade. And it also looks very similar to these two setups prior. So I actually jumped the gun and I didn't wait for a lower high. So I entered. It gets really close to taking me out because I had my exit right up here. And then when I saw this lower high form, well, I don't know it's going to be a lower high yet. And then when it came down here, it gave me a lot more confidence that this trade is going to work. And it did. It ended up giving me a good profit. Prices continue moving down. I see a failed second entry long because I grouped this together as one high. First entry long, second entry long. And now it looks like it, formed pretty low, pretty bearish. I didn't take the trade though, because I just, got my profit off of this one. And at the time I wasn't really sure. So this trading channel doesn't exist yet. So just ignore it for now. But when I saw this bar close, I thought, okay, there's potentially a trade here, but I don't want to take it. And it is above the EMA, but it just seems to be chopping sideways. And the EMA doesn't really seem to be coming into play. I mean, it's not being respected. It's being pushed through up, and then prices are pushing through to the bottom as well. So I didn't want to take a trade. I just saw it. Then, of course, it would have you know, if you'd taken it, it would have worked out pretty well because this big candle would have given you at least 2 points. Prices. Then I did see a lower high here, and I thought, man, these are like three patterns in a row that look like they're the same. This one looks the same. This one looks the same. This one looks the same. This one is similar but not the same, but it's very similar to this. It happened pretty in close succession, but each of these had these big pushes up by the buyers and then a sell-off. And this had a big push up and then a sell-off. This one wasn't quite the same because there's not quite the same big push up, but it just made me think, okay, well, at least these three are similar, and I was able to capitalize on one. And this one, I think when I saw it, and I saw this, I thought, okay, well, definitely don't chase the trade now because it's also at the mid-range, which is here. And this is similar, but not the same as these. So it could be potentially a trap. Just leave it alone. Prices did go all the way to the bottom. So I missed out on this trade, and I would have had to chase it as well. I definitely didn't want to do that just because it's, you know, this confirmation is only really good if I had a runner. So if I, got my profit and I had my runner and I moved it down to this break-even point, seeing this would have given me confidence to, just hang on to it because it probably would have made a big move down to the bottom. So that's just food for thought. Prices continue moving down. I take my third trade here. I saw a new low, first entry short, second entry short, and I'm thinking it's potentially about to fail. It's coming down, it broke, and I called it a fail breakout later because this is the trading range based off the high and the lows of the pre-market. And I saw it as a potential fail breakout. It's also getting pushed right up to the EMA, and I said, I want to take my trade like one tick above if it happens, and I want to see what happens in the next candle. Is it going to push through the EMA, or is it going to be a fail breakout, pullback, and come back continuing down? I took the entry here, picked me up, and I was able to ride it up, and then I think this candle took out my runner. Prices continue moving down, chops left and right. I'm seeing, so I saw a double bottom, potential triple test. So when this formed here, I saw like a new high, first entry long, and I'm thinking there was potentially a second entry long here when this was forming in real time. However, the signal bar, which is this guy, doesn't look very encouraging. So I don't have a confirmation triple test yet. And then when this formed, then there was a triple test. But by that time, I wasn't ready or prepared to take an entry, either one tick above this guy. So I kind of let that one go. I did see it, notice it, and then it pushed up, kind of chopped around, and came back. And I noticed at this point, it never pushed up to the high of this trading range, at least at this point in time. Then it did make one measure move up, and then I saw a potential second measure move. So when this was forming, I saw this triple bottom as probably a new low, not the lowest of this one, but just localized new low. First entry short, second entry short. I like this signal bar a lot. And I also said, I had this drawn and I just arbitrarily put this one. This one actually floated a little bit, but then I dragged it up to here. And when I saw it break out here, I'm thinking this is potentially a second entry short fail breakout. So I actually went ahead and took this trade. So it was my, excuse me. As my fifth trade. It's also made a measure move up, one leg up, consolidation, second leg up. So I was thinking it's probably going to come back down into this trading range and at least maybe get to the bottom. If not, at least maybe touch the midline. So there's enough room for me to try to get a quick scalp out. EMA is flat, and so I wasn't afraid of it bouncing back at me yet. I was able to get my core profit, as well as a pretty decent runner. Moves down, chops around. So at this time, I see this. I also see this. And that's where I establish this channel. Now, at the top, I like it touched once, twice, maybe three times, depending on how you count it, and then a fourth time. So I like this as a resistance at the top. Then to create a channel, I dragged to the bottom. I only saw it touch twice, once here and twice here. So I wasn't quite assured that this bottom support was going to come into play in a future trade until I need a third confirmation. But when a third confirmation is about to show up, I would be watching carefully. But definitely on the top side, I'd be very, very, very more confident that it's going to cause a bounce and come back down, depending on the setup, because it touched more times up here than down here. So basically, I'm saying I had more confidence that this line was correct as opposed to the bottom of the channel, which is good because in this price action, you should be more bearish biased because you're looking for a move back down, and this just helps give another key entry point. this doesn't matter as much because in a bearish bias, you're not necessarily want to counter trend and take it long because even though prices are definitely moving down, so you feel more confident because this acts as another key entry point. This doesn't quite act as a key entry point that's as positive or as safe as these coming down because your price is going down. So prices continue chopping left and right, keeps going down, and now it touches a second time. So I'm thinking, okay, I have a pretty well-established trading channel, trend channel here. It moves up. I'm thinking it might go back, touch the other side. I see one leg up, pulls back, and I see a potential second entry long and a failed second entry short. So this is my 6th trade. I saw this as a recent bounce off the bottom, first entry short, second entry short. This is a pretty good signal bar that it went second entry short. However, when it climbed all the way back up, it took back almost the entire move. I'm thinking prices are going to make another leg up, definitely, because it made one leg, chopped around, it's above the EMA. It's probably going to make another leg and touch the top of this because this failed second entry. Technically, the second entry short hasn't failed yet. It made a double top here, but I'm also seeing first entry long, and then this candle makes second entry long. So I said, I want to get on this because there's probably a measured move one up, and the second one that'll probably touch the top. So I entered on this candle, and it almost takes me out. I'm sweating now because my stop is down here. I'm thinking, is it still going to go back up? I might get taken out. It's playing with my emotions, chops around, and then this candle finally takes me out. So I kept looking back at this throughout the day, and I was wondering, did I read this correctly? Did I just get? I know I got trapped for sure because the first entry short comes up, second entry short, then it fails on this candle. Was it first entry? There's a new high, first entry long, second entry long, and it broke out. Definitely it made a new high of this shortened trend channel, so the up move might have completed, but I was thinking there's one leg up and a measured move, second leg up to about right here. Unfortunately, it chopped sideways and then it took me out. So I guess in hindsight, I was also trying to go for 2 points instead of 1 point. 1 point would have rewarded me for sure, but I was thinking this is probably enough room for 2 points, but it ended up being kind of like a double trap. And it was kind of counter trend to this downward bias, this bullish sell-off. And prices were pretty congested. So this is definitely after the fact, all this thinking. And also this is the midline of this trend channel. So if I had taken this into account, when I entered here, we could actually see my trade. When I entered here, when it came up and it didn't quite give me my 2 points, it gave me a second chance to get out. I think I should have taken that chance to get out, but I was trying to stick to my guns and think like, I want my 2 points. I need to trust the trade. And unfortunately, this trade didn't work out. In hindsight, I don't know if I would have done anything different. I think I might have probably still taken the trade, but with more experience, I probably realized seeing this enough times that this is too congested. Like this is a mid to maybe slightly high probability, but definitely not high probability. So just chalk it up to experience and realize like next time I should have definitely either just gotten out break even because it gave me a second chance when it came up here and I noticed it didn't break above. I should have said, it is giving you the 1 point. Instead of trying to go for 2, just take it. So lesson learned, chalk that one up to experience and just walk away, lick my wounds. Prices continue moving down. I saw this potentially as one leg up, pulls back, and I'm thinking there might be a second leg up. Here I was thinking there might be a potential trade here because there's like a new low here. And I actually grouped this together. Technically there's a first entry short here, but I'm thinking first entry short, second entry short. This is a decent candle. But I was thinking at this point, this might be a smaller trading, a sub trading range of this big one. So I just want to leave it alone. Prices continue chopping. It's getting really slow because you can tell from here, this is 9 o'clock to about 10 o'clock. There's only this many candles. So the prices definitely are slowing down. Price action is slowing down. I do see this, and this is my 7th trade. And then 7th, 8th, and 9th trade, I really should have just skipped, but I think I just wanted to try to get back this loss. And I saw a new high, first entry short, and then I'm seeing a potential, new high here, and a new low here. So it's a first entry short, then comes up. This makes a second entry short, but I also saw new high, first entry long, a second entry long potentially setting up. Now at the time, I didn't have this trading range all the way up here. I actually had it more conservatively down here. So it was already overshot, and I was thinking, well, okay, maybe it's breaking out, it's going to continue. So I actually entered a trade. It fills me on this candle, and I'm thinking I should have thought, well, I might get stuck because this is looking not the best setup. But I also think EMA is helping, but EMA hasn't really proven itself yet. So it's like a first entry long, second entry long. Now the second entry long has failed, and the second entry short also failed here, but it's coming back. So it's kind of like a double trap here. Prices continue moving down, and this candle finally takes me out because I have my stop down here. And so I was like, oh man, that was smart. Comes back down. When it touches down here, then I'm looking for a trading range. Whoa, I thought I saw a triple test here. I saw 1, 2, and I thought, okay, this might be here. And then this one was still floating up here. It breaks through, and I'm thinking maybe there's going to be a failed breakout, but I have to keep in mind that this is a bearish downtrend. So prices continue moving. It started climbing up. At this point, I didn't really hear any news item, but I just, after the fact, prices just started to rally and start to buy. So you can see this dotted line. I actually had a trend channel where this one is, and this dotted line was actually solid. So at one time I thought the trend channel is here, and I saw this overshoot. So I got it in my mind without very good reasoning that this overshoot happened through here. Also, it's breaking back into this trading range formed by the highs and lows. And so I got it into my mind that this is probably going to be a failed breakout pullback because this was so strong before. It broke out of this downward channel. It broke out of this channel and it's breaking into this trading range. But I'm thinking since the bias is so strong going down, this overshoot so far from the EMA, I thought there was a potential trade here. So I actually jumped on this trade, but this actually wasn't a clear setup. Even though there was an overshoot, the overshoot doesn't necessarily mean that it's completed, it's done. There was no real indication. So I just got it into my mind that this is going to come back down. So when I entered right here, it actually took me out pretty quickly. So I entered right here, I shorted right here, 41.95, 41.59.50, which is right here, because I saw this is a pretty decent signal bar, because I saw this and I said, oh, it's definitely coming back down because I'm thinking it's going to be a failed breakout pullback of this trading range. It broke out of here and it wants to come back and test the lows. It broke out of this shortened trend channel and it might come back and overshoot to the other side. Enter it, and it takes me out right here. So that was, granted, a foolish trade because it wasn't super thought out. I started imagining and seeing a setup when it wasn't very clear, definitive. So then what do? I take another trade because I thought I was still correct. I take another short here because I thought, well, it's coming back down here for sure. So this is actually a no reason trade. I'll just go ahead and mark it. This is a foolish one. I should have definitely walked away by this point and not taken this trade because I think I was just out of frustration. So I saw this. I said, I got, definitely emotional and I mentally wanted to just, believe I was still right, which is the wrong thing. I should have just admitted I was wrong, sit back and wait. So I took a short here, again, for no reason, got taken out. At this point, I said, I've taken too many trades today. I just need to sit back and do nothing. And then prices just continue moving up. At this point, I saw, okay, this is clearly no longer an overshoot. It's like a two-tier trend channel. So it was obeying a bearish bias down here, and then now it's more of a bullish bias. Well, it's been bullish, but it stayed on the lower tier and now it's at the higher one. And I kept going up. So I also looked back to see if there was any real way to enter this trade. And there really wasn't. The only way we could have said is kind of go on faith. This is a new low, first entry short, maybe a second entry short, failure. And I guess the entry would have been here, but then there's like a double top. So you would have just taken this kind of on a low probability trade that would have rewarded you. And I would have just kept going up. Because other than that, I didn't see any good, clean second entries. Because if you did take it here and you go, well, at least I'm going to look for lower high. Lower high shows up here. So this would be like a first entry short, second entry short, and you say, I'm going to take confirmation. I'm going to look for lower high. Technically, you could say there's lower high right around here, but I think I wanted a clear one. A clear one would have been right here, which is too far from the EMA, getting close to the high. So I wouldn't have known or felt confident to actually have taken it here. And then it certainly would have rewarded you, but this would have been like a low probability trade. Then prices just continue chopping around. You know, you could say there's a new high, first entry long, second entry long, but there's a bad signal bar, and then makes a new low here. Then prices, you know, there was no second entry short. There's only a first entry short, new low here, first entry short. Technically, there's a second entry short here, but it just doesn't look clean anymore. And it's like already 12:57 or, you know, 3:57 Eastern Standard. It's too close to the close. So it just kind of continues to rally up. So that's how I saw the charts today. Videos again too long, but I kind of went through all the trades that I took and my thinking process. So hopefully that was helpful.